I am Mark. Hi. We are here today, and I feel quite quiet in my headphones, but that's okay. Oh, and things have moved around in my studio because my lovely cleaners have been in, and they are lovely. Things do sometimes get moved around a bit. That's all right. Yeah, we got a nice one today. We're going to be talking about networking for introverts. I am probably an introvert. I think it depends. I think, and I think that's one of the things we may get into. But it's a useful keyword for us to tap into. So that's the conversation today. So how things will work is I'm gonna finish working. So I've got a couple of bits I've just got to tidy up. One of them might be to make the artwork for the episode. So we'll see how we go there. So I've got three bits that I need to do. So just sit and do that for a bit, and then come about 1:15, we'll hit record on the episode, which will probably be about 15 to 20 minutes. And then if you want to have a chat afterwards, we can have a chat. So, yeah, all right. So, the first thing I want to do, I think, is I need a relatable story about networking. And I might talk about the Polish thing, the Polish Gambit. So Django Con 2013. That was Europe. Django Con Europe 2013. Warsaw, Poland. Day 1 fun. Day 2 spoke to no one. Day 3 did a lightning talk. Best thing ever, because it led to Django Con 2015. Django Con Europe 2015 in 2015 Cardiff. I was invited to give a sort of an intro talk day before conference. I remember being sorry. This is what's happening is I'm actually just making notes for this bit of the episode. So that's why I'm speaking the way I'm speaking at the moment. So Django Con Europe 2015 felt kind of awkward and ignored, which was very much just my brain doing its thing. And then Django Con Europe 2017. I submitted a talk. I got to speak. That went really well. That'll probably do there. You make. Yeah, so I think some people probably say you get out of networking what you put in. I don't think that's entirely true. I think you get out of it what your mindset. I don't think that's true. I think it's all about mindset. Or attitude. With that, not width. Here are 10 tips for networking if you identify as an introvert. All right. I'll probably do there. Now we need a cold open. And I'm one of those who can address a crowd of 100 plus people, but gets nervous speaking to 3. Actually, speaking one-on-one, I would say. Okay, so that gives us a bit of context. And then the last bit we need is our cold open. So that's got to be a nice sort of introductory line that, that makes people want to listen to the full episode and potentially identify with it. So, sorry. There goes you yawning. Right. Networking in person is networking in in-person networking. So what writing in real time looks like is one of the best ways to find new people. Oh, for God's sake, find new people who can help you. Can support your work and might even become fans. But frankly, it can be a terrifying ordeal. So if you're the sort of person who would rather hide in the toilets than shake a bunch of hands, how can you survive? When the talks are finished and the canapes are being, that's canapes, isn't it? Canapes being handed out. Canapes. Right, I think that'll do us. And then the last thing I need is a mailbag, and I don't think we have much in the way of mailbag at the moment. I think I've dried up again. But let's have a look. Linky dink din, linky dink, LinkedIn, which is where most of the feedback comes. Oh, hello. Oh, this is nice. I've got a piece of feedback from John Paul. Thanks, John Paul. Oh, is that from a thing or is that from a different thing? I'm very grateful that John Paul had some feedback, but it's not about the episode. Doesn't count. Oh, that's nice that he said that though. I should go back to that because I'm still grateful for the comment. What I might do is I might fudge it slightly and go. Thanks for the support on my newsletter pivot yesterday. I got some nice comments there and some reactions. So we will make lemonade. That's what we'll do out of these. They're not lemons. See, I'm back to this thing again where LinkedIn actually makes it impossible to view the comments. I'm sifting through. Hey, Abdul. Sorry if I'm not making very entertaining stuff at the moment. What's happening is I'm just sifting through. I'm just trying to get something for my mailbag, which is a little bit at the near the end of the episode. And I like to pick stuff that people have posted, usually on social media. So I am just doing that now. And I'm just looking for the right comment. So we've got a comment there. Let's have a look. Is that anything? That's from a while. It's from a week ago. This one's just agreeing with me, so I like, which is lovely. And Simon Edwards had made a lovely comment. And I try and find the ones that are not necessarily just agreeing with me, because it just feels like a vanity thing, but it's nice. It's nice that people said that. So yeah, what I'll do is I will go back to what I was going to do, which is I had a post about my newsletter yesterday, which was sort of which I mentioned on the podcast. So I shall pick up some of the comments that people made there. And then, yeah, we've got 4 minutes, so we're sort of roughly on track. Oh, what was that one there? No, that was me, and that's fine. And all right, cool. Do. Right, let's do this one then. We've got some comments here from Beth and from Simon. Okay, lovely. So Beth says she's been really enjoying the podcast over the past few weeks. I'll take that. And thanks to Simon for their support on my newsletter pivot yesterday. Lovely. All right, that's good. And then next time we've got listening for introverts. Okay, I think we've got an episode. I think we've got all the stuff. I think we've got the makings of an episode today. This could end up being a bit of a longer one because it's another listicle, and they can go long. What's this here? Okay, that's someone needing my IT support. So sorry, that's not my job. Okay. Close that. And what I'm going to do then, I think, is work on the artwork for the episode. So we've got. Oh, in fact, you know what? No, let's get cracking because it's nearly 1:15, 12:15, and so we want to get this recorded. I shall do the artwork later. Lovely jubbly. Okie doke. So let's open Descript and get ourselves ready to record and get all the yawnings out of the way and have a drink of coffee. That's it. Oh, there was the thing I was going to do. I might do this afterwards. Yeah, I'll hopefully, you know what? I won't remember. So I want to do this now because I thought it was quite funny. I need to go to ChatGPT because I think we've got something that was quite good from ChatGPT. I might need to copy it into a thing so I can read it a bit easier. Let's see if I pop that into Bear. But basically, I'm going to record this. I need to make sure I'm recording now because I'm going to use this for TikTok as well. So let me get myself set up here. So let's go to Morning Creative and let's create a new project. And this is YMD. YMD. Networking for introverts. Select me. There's my face. I'm recording. Oh, and make sure the camera is actually doing what it's supposed to be doing. There we go. Zoom it out. It doesn't seem to be any way to actually keep it locked in that zoom position, but there you go. It's okay. Cool. All right. So, I'm just adjusting my screen here because I want to read all of these. I want to read these because I think it's quite funny. Okay. So I asked so so I asked ChatGPT to come up with some opening lines that you can deliver when you're networking if you are an introvert, and these are what it came up with. Hi there, I'm your name. I'm a bit new to networking events, so I thought I'd start by saying hello. What brings you here today? That's all right. That's not too bad, all right? It's reasonably human. Excuse me, I noticed you from across the room. That has to be read with, excuse me, I noticed you from across the room and I'm trying to step out of my comfort zone. Mind if I join you for a chat? Hello, I'm your name. I've been really enjoying exploring different creative endeavors lately. What about you? Do you have any projects you're passionate about? Hi, I'm your name. Networking events always make me a bit nervous, but I found that starting conversations helps. What's been the highlight of your day so far? Hi, I'm your name. I'm here to connect with fellow creatives and possibly collaborate on some projects. What about you? Are you looking to meet new people or explore potential collaborations? Aren't you just walking out of the room if someone says this? Hi, I'm your name. I'm a bit of an introvert, so networking events are always a bit daunting for me. What's your approach to navigating these types of gatherings? Ugh. But the good news is, ChatGPT says, remember, the key is to be genuine and show interest in the other person. Yeah, congratulations on really capturing how people speak. That's some practical advice we can really munch down on. Thanks, ChatGPT. Anyway, I thought that was funny. All right, so all right. Let's get this show on the road here. Hey, okay, grand. That's great. Yes, Serena. Yes, absolutely. For whatever reason, your message hasn't come up in thing yet, but maybe it will do. I've just seen that over LinkedIn. Yeah, Serena says super nice, but my introvert self just wants to run away. Yes, completely yes, 100%. I hope you're watching, Serena, because I'm hopeful. In fact, I might leave this as a quick comment now. Oh, hello. The live video has ended. I don't think it has. LinkedIn. I think what the problem is, LinkedIn, is that you suck at this. Is that you're very bad at this. Yeah. It's just oh, it's such a bad experience. Okay, no, I think it might still be running, but for whatever reason it says it's ended. I'm not going to worry about it. We've got an episode to record, so let's get instead of getting distracted by comments, let us record the actual episode. Because otherwise, I'll have nothing to show for it. Just making my text all big. So I've got like a big teleprompter. And last sip of coffee. Oh, sorry. And then we'll crack in. Crack in? Sure. Oh, I should. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop that recording and then start a new one. So we'll keep that. That's gold, that is. I think there's something in there anyway. So we're going to rename that to. Oops. Oh, God's sake. Roasting Chat GPT. That's what we're going to call that. And then, of course, Descript has its bug, so it does that, which is fine. And then we're going to create a new composition. At some point, if the software decides that it wants to help me instead of getting my way, there we go. We'll call this full episode. Wonderful. Okay, with all that stalling, let's begin. Thank you for your patience, caller. In-person networking is one of the best ways to find new people who can support your work and might even become fans. But frankly, it can be a terrifying ordeal. So if you're the sort of person who would rather hide in the toilets than shake a bunch of hands, how can you survive when the talks are finished and the canapes are being handed out? Welcome to Morning Creative. I'm Mark Steadman, and I'm one of those people who can address a crowd of 100 or more, but gets really nervous speaking one-on-one with people and certainly approaching them. And so today I want to share 10 tips that I think might be useful if you identify as an introvert. But I want to start by laying the groundwork. About 11 years ago, just halfway through the year in 2013, I decided I was going to go to Poland to a conference, which was all about a web internet framework that I was using at the time. And I got there the day before and got myself all set up. And then I went to day one, which happened to be in a circus tent in a field in the middle of nowhere, Warsaw, Poland. And so it took me a while to get there, and I got my knees all scratched up because it was quite nice weather, but it was, walking through the brush and the briar. Finally got there, had a decent enough first day. They had a party afterwards, so got to speak to a few people, made a couple of friends, and it was quite nice. Day two, I don't think I spoke to a single person. I was at at all the talks, and I couldn't find a way to connect. In all the breaks, I kind of just wander off somewhere, and I just wasn't making any connections, and it kind of bummed me out. And so one of the things that they did at these conferences is they have a thing called lightning talks that you can submit at the beginning. So when the each day opens, you can pop your name down, and if there's time at the end, you can do a lightning talk. So you have to prepare it beforehand, and then you plug your laptop in and you deliver it, and you get 5 minutes, and that's it, and then you're off. And I thought, I haven't really got that much to say, but I'm going to try something. And so on the second night, I put something together, and I put my name down the next day, and at the end of the evening, I was called to go and deliver my talk, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. And I kind of just talked about being nervous and being scared and being an introvert, and this being the first time I'd ever done anything like this, and how I'm really just here to sort of connect and to meet people and stuff. And yeah, it ended up being the best thing because I just had an amazing night, met a bunch of people. I came off stage and a couple of people were like, that was really cool. We're going to go and buy some beers, taking a walk down to a local petrol station, got some beers, got some other things, and just had an absolutely belting night. So much so that I woke up, I think it finished at like 4 a.m. And so I was very late for the next part of the conference the next day. Fast forward 2 years, and it's in Cardiff, and someone actually got in touch with me on my birthday to say, we'd like you to speak on the sort of day zero of the conference. Basically, it was like, we're introducing it to a bunch of people. We'd like you to deliver a talk. And I gave a talk, and it was really cool. But again, like second day or so, I was there at a thing, and I just felt so alienated. And I just felt like I didn't belong, which is something that we may touch on today, because I think it's a really important point about how our brains affect the way we think about networking. but it was all right. And then 2 years later, after doing that, I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to submit my own talk. I'm going to see if that would be of interest to people. So I submitted a proper, full blown, actual talk. It was in a cinema in. I'm just remembering. It was in a cinema in Florence, and it was just great. Like I again walked off stage, met quite a few people because, as we'll get to in a bit, people have seen you on stage, so they go, "Good talk," and that is enough because that is all you need. It's just that in. And so I ended up having a pretty good time. Um, Now, some people say, or you might interpret this, and this is important. You might interpret this whole little story as like you get out of networking what you put in, and I think, no, I don't think that's entirely true. I think it is all about your mindset or your attitude. If you are sat with a bunch of people and you're feeling alone or isolated, the chances are that's something that you're doing to yourself. And it's not a helpful thing to hear because it's like, well, no, other people are, ignoring me or whatever. And I I think when you come at this with a slightly different mindset, with the mindset of openness and of willing to make some connections and also willing to maybe get it wrong, you can open yourself up. You'll open yourself up to some embarrassment, but a lot less than actually you imagine. So, with all of that, here are my 10 tips for networking if you identify as an introvert. So, number one is make a bet with yourself to just talk to one person or get one person's details, right? So, let's say it's a convention or a what's the other word I'm after? Convention or I don't know. I don't know what the other word is. I know it's there. I know it's there, but it's gone. Um, Fine. We'll just go with convention. It'll come back to me. Conference. That was third. Okay. Conference. All right. So number one. Blah, blah. So number one, make a bet with yourself to talk to one person or get one person's details. So imagine you're at a conference or a convention, there's some talks, and then there's the dreaded networking section, or there's a bunch of talks, and then in the evening and now we're going to network, and it's like, oh God, here we go. All you've got to do, just make a bet with yourself. Make it a game if necessary. And all you've got to do is just talk to one person or make one connection, as in like get one person's details, get their LinkedIn, get their Instagram, and maybe swap, but don't overburden yourself. Just say you've got to speak to one person, make one useful, meaningful connection, and then you can leave. Number two, some of these are going to be weird ones, and that's kind of my point, because I think you could Google this stuff and you'll find a bunch of like samey advice, to be honest. I've got some other tips that I found online, but like I kind of want these to come from my own brain because I think we need some stuff that, for example, can't be generated by ChatGPT. And these are things from my own experience as well. Number two is have some stickers to give away. So this is a bit unconventional, but this worked for me. I was at an awards thing. I was sponsoring it, but my name, my face wasn't, it wasn't one of those things where I could just walk around and people would be like, oh, it's that guy who did that thing. So what I did is I had a bunch of stickers that were related to my company. And I think I would walk up to people and say, listen, I've got to give these away. Or, I've got so many of these. I want to leave not having any of them left. Do you want a sticker? Or just, hey, do you want a sticker? And sometimes that's enough, because what the difficult thing with any I think anyway, if you're a bit introverted, if you're a bit anxious, and you don't have to be introverted to feel this, but if you're a bit anxious and you've got a bit of the ick going in, you just need that one thing that doesn't feel too awkward. And what that usually is some kind of pretext or purpose to talk to someone, and we'll get to that as well, because that's an important thing. the spoiler alert is there is no pretext to talk to people. But if it feels like it's helpful for you to have one, to go and have a conversation with someone, then bringing something with you as a means to start, like, I've got a bunch of stickers, do you want a sticker? Or I've got a bunch of stickers, I've got to get rid of these, or I promised myself I'd get rid of these by the end of the night, do you want a sticker? That is you opening the salvo or opening the doors, and then you can start to have a conversation. The person goes, yeah, I'll take a sticker. And then it's, all right, my name's Mark, how are you doing? Just that kind of stuff. Then once you've, if not broken the ice, then at least chipped it a little bit, I tend to find that that's helpful. So number 3, again, going back to a kind of gamified thing, is if you feel like you can do more than one, then, if you want to set yourself a bit of a challenge, try and collect as many like Instagram handles as you can. Think of it like a sticker thing, but like a sticker pack. I don't know if you ever did those. I think my brother was big into them. The football sticker packs. Just think about having a book with you, and you've got like, I don't know, 20 little slots in that book. Little boxes that you can write Instagram handles. It could be Twitter handles, could be LinkedIn. Could be business cards if that's the kind of vibe that you're going for. But whatever that unit is, pick one unit, pick one thing that you can collect. And your job is to just go through as many and just make it a game. There's a whole school of thought about collecting no's, which salespeople go into. It's like when they're trying to sell something, they're really not trying to sell. They're not trying to make the sale. They're just collecting no's because they know that for every 9 or 90 no's, they'll get 1 or 10 yeses. And so the idea here is actually just to do it. It's just to get into the process of going around people and saying, hey, I'm Mark. What's your Instagram handle? That one maybe feels a little bit, you've got to work out and figure out what your approach is going to be. But having that gamified thing then gives you that extra little idea, that extra little feeling of purpose, I think. Number 4 is, this works. This works really well. Interview people for a podcast. Now, you don't actually have to have a podcast, because if you walk around with a microphone, people will go, they're recording a podcast, or they're going to interview me for a podcast. Obviously, if you're thinking you can use this audio for something, then great. But people aren't going to necessarily, I mean, yes, you might get someone who says, oh, what's your podcast? If you don't have one, just be prepared to say, I'm actually working on it at the moment. I'm working on the name. I'm just getting, but I wanted to start by collecting audio. I wanted to start before I was ready. Like you can say things that actually are quite impressive. You don't actually have to have a podcast. If someone says, oh, great, what's your podcast? Can I subscribe? That's actually a really good in, because then you can say, well, I'm working on it right now. Tell you what, let me jot down your email address and I can let you know when it's out, or let's connect on LinkedIn. I'll drop you a DM when it's out. It's fine. If you don't have a podcast, no one's checking. But what this is, it's a great pretext. It's a wonderful pretext to go and speak to complete strangers. Just have a microphone in your hand, connect it to your phone, use a little handheld recorder, whatever you like. And then you get to just walk around and go, hey, how are you getting on with the conference? Or, my name's Mark. What have you found that's been interesting today? Or, hey, I'm Mark. What's brought you here today? And if they need you to set up a little bit more, then that's fine. You can do that. But just that as a device is a great way to ensure that you can start to have interesting conversations with people. And then, after you've collected a soundbite, pop the mic away and then just keep having a conversation. Number 5 is I'm sort of doing these in kind of order of difficulty, really, or order of approachability, if you like. Number 5, if you have the option, this is not available to everyone, and it also does require some pre-planning, a lot of pre-planning, is if you get the option to speak at the thing, that is about the best thing that you can do. In all my experience, it is scary. As someone who, yes, I'm comfortable in certain circumstances, I still poop my pants, figuratively, mostly, when I have to go and speak. But I know that it is the best thing to do, because everybody's seen your face then. and everybody's heard your story or heard something about you. So it's not necessarily about the contents of the talk. Yes, you want to give a good talk, you want to be interesting, but really it's just then it's inviting people to come and speak to you because they just want to tell you you had a great talk. And sometimes people just go, great talk, and you can go, thank you. Or some people will go, great talk, and then they'll want to have a conversation with you, and then you can get into it. And so the opportunity, scary as it sounds and maybe counterintuitive as it sounds, finding a way to speak at an event is a great way to meet new people because they are much more likely to come to you. And again, that comes from years of experience. Number 6, this is kind of just a reminder that, or a mindset trick you can apply to yourself if it doesn't feel true. You are not the most anxious person in the room. This is almost always true, but really easily forgotten. There is going to be someone else who is feeling the same as you, maybe more so. I was at my stand-up thing yesterday, and I was watching one of the performers, and they were, I was looking at the piece of paper in their hand, and it was shaking. And I'm someone who feels very, I'm going to have to, that's very distracting, isn't it, that we've got a cat nuzzling up to the microphone. Very, very beautiful, but, not appropriate for this time. Let's give ourselves a little wipe down. Well, not a wipe down, but just a little. Roscoe is determined to star in every podcast that I do, and also every Zoom call. He just wants to be part of everything, and I love him for that. Hey, please don't. Please don't mess up my carpet. Thank you. Okay. I might go back to that one. Number 6. Number 6, and this is more of perhaps a reminder or a bit of a mindset shift. You are not the most anxious person in the room. I know you might feel like that, and also maybe it's true. But again, this can be a little bit of a trick. It's just a way of approaching the situation. It's an attitude that you can adopt. Just imagine what it would be like if you weren't the most anxious person in the room. Because I guarantee you, it's in 90% of the cases, probably more, that is true. You are not the most anxious person in the room. Some people are really good at hiding it. I'm surprisingly good. I don't know this, by the way. This is what other people tell me, that apparently I'm really good at looking confident on stage. I do not feel it, but I have that. And, sometimes I'm genuinely like, I'm there and I'm enjoying it and it's fun. And so, yes, the guard comes down and the imposter syndrome, dissolves a little bit and all that kind of stuff. But when I first go up there, I can feel my whole body, shaking, and it's terrifying. And for the hour beforehand, I'm absolutely bricking it, and it's not good. But I don't show it, and so I might be the most anxious person in the room. I might be more anxious than you, but I don't show it. So when you're scanning the room looking for people, don't assume that they've all, quote unquote, got this, because they really might not. And that gives you the opportunity then to be a bit of an anchor of support for someone. So it's, then you can kind of go up to someone and, with the energy of like, do you need someone to talk to? Don't say that. Don't ask that, because that might be a little bit weird. But it could just be, hey, what are you hoping to get out of today? Just go up. Excuse me. Stop it. No, don't look at me like that. Don't look at me surprised. Every time you do that to the carpet, I'm going to tell you off every single time. So don't look surprised. He has this look of like, what? What? Every time he claws at the carpet, I tell him off. And yet, he looks at me every time like it's... Anyway. This is what you come for. This is what you come for when we have live recordings. I can't wait to get the studio redone. Because 2 things are going to happen. One of them is I'm getting a cat flap, which will be amazing. And then secondly, I'm getting lino put in here, so we won't have the on the carpet, which you can't hear, but I can. and it's distracting. Cool. Okay. Right. I'll find the pickup point here if I go back a wee bit. So you've kind of got to go in with the energy of like, hey, do you want someone to talk to? I mean, don't actually say that because that would be weird. But it's more like, but instead you can sort of ask the question of, hey, what are you hoping to get out of today? Something as simple as that. If you go in with the energy of, I can be of use to this person because they are stood alone, they're looking at their phone or they're looking around and they're not quite connecting with anyone, you have then the opportunity to kind of just walk up nice and calmly with the energy of, hey, I'm going to be the person that you can talk to now. And then just ask a simple question. Hey, what are you hoping to get out today? Hey, I'm Mark. Nice to meet you. What's your plan for today? Anything you're looking forward to? Any talks you've enjoyed? And if you go in with the mindset or the attitude that they're going to be grateful for this, then you'll have an easier time. You just have to ignore that voice that's saying, of course, they're not going to be grateful. They don't need me. They've got it all together. That doesn't matter. That's the thing. It doesn't matter if they quote unquote need it or not. That's actually not the point. The point is it helps you with your attitude, you with the way you present yourself, you with your posture and everything. When you are going in feeling like you can be a source of calm, that helps you and it projects something out into the world that is like, hey, I am a source of calm in what might be an anxious making experience. And some people are going to respond to that in different ways. Some people are going to, relax and go, oh, God for that. Someone who gets it, or someone who's giving me that opportunity to just have a chat with someone, and now I can make a connection. Some of the people might feign like, I don't need this. I've got it together, because some people need that. But it doesn't matter. It's about, all of this is actually to do with you and not anyone else. And that's kind of one of the key takeaways here is it really is actually about what you bring to this. But it's not, what you get out, you put in. It's what you think about the event and think about yourself. That changes how you carry yourself, and it changes the experience that you have. So number 7, kind of related to that. And again, it's very much playing a role, it's very much a mindset or an attitude. Play the role of the most interesting person in the room. This might work, and I think this is part of the magic of going and doing a talk. Because if you do the talk, you are still, even if people haven't recognized, no, I'll do that again. So if you give a talk, you might go out into the congregation, if you like. You've got the energy of, these people know me already. They've seen me. And so that makes you open up. That actually gives you, you're kind of catching people's eye to be like, hey, do you want to talk to me? Not in an arrogant way, not in a self-centered or conceited way, but in a way that's like, I know you've seen me. You might want to have a chat. And that's okay. Just that body language, giving off that signal of, I'm open. It's like the phone's, the phone's off the hook. That doesn't make any sense in this regard. Giving that signal of I'm open is way more inviting than sort of looking around and looking a bit nervous, looking a bit shifty. So playing the role of the most interesting person in the room is kind of doing the same work as actually if you had done the talk. And so for me, I find the hack is doing the talk. That makes it a lot easier for me to play the role of the most interesting person in the room, because I know I can back it up with, I've just done a talk, and so I know you've seen me. I know you've seen my face. If you are someone who finds these kinds of mindset shifts easy, or at least possible, if you can take yourself off into the loo and give yourself a bit of a talking to, get yourself in a headspace where you can say, I am the most interesting person in the room. People are interested in what I've got to say. I have interesting things to say. If that is a talk that you can give yourself, you can then stride out. And again, it's not like going into the networking thing saying, hi, you're welcome for meeting me. It's more just like being open, looking around, seeing if you catch anyone's eye and being like, oh, cool, just caught someone's eye. Let's go and have a chat. Number 8, again, we're kind of going in order of like what might feel the most approachable. And this one might seem slightly controversial, but it's hi, my name is, you know, Mark, Steve, Chicka Chicka, Slim Shady, whatever, you know. And actually just going up to someone and saying, hi, I'm Mark. Because it might feel weird, but like, what do you think is the reaction that someone's going to be? It's a networking event. I think that we sometimes feel like the reaction is going to be good for you. Like, what use is that information to me? And the point is, like, everyone is there to meet new people. So actually, just going up and saying, hi, I'm Mark, that's kind of the whole point. As much as some of these some of these little tactics and some of these things that we can, do and tell ourselves, as useful as they can be, actually just going up to someone and saying, hi, I'm Karen, you actually don't need anything more than that, because the whole point of why we're here is to network. And then the last couple, I'm kind of thinking in terms of, I'm going to come off the back of that a little bit better. And so the last couple I'm thinking of here are a little bit more maybe for group situations. Number 9 is scan the room for groups. So have a look around, have a listen, see what interesting conversations are being had in little huddles. And then go and make your way in, sort of find a little bit of a gap, a little bit of a space. There probably isn't a whole person's gap yet. There is a technique for this, but it relies on other people doing this that conscientious people will adopt, where they make a sort of they open a little bit of space in the circle so that anyone who does want to come in can actually just slide in without it being awkward. But of course, we can't guarantee, or we can't bank on people doing that. So for me, I think what you do is you find someone in that group, you just make a quick bit of eye contact, and then just say, do you mind if can I hop in? Mind if I join you? Or, this sounds like a fun group. One of my things that I always do when I'm thrown into a Zoom room, like a breakout room, if it's anything that kind of has a networking component, I always go in and say something like, "Oh, thank God, I've got the cool people, right? Oh, good, this is the cool table." Just little things like that, little compliments. So just going in with, "Oh, this sounds like this is the noisy table, is it? Oh, these are like, find the thing that feels right for you. Find that energy level that's that kind of feels natural and approachable. It might be something perhaps a little bit more corny of, oh, we found the disruptive people over, oh, you guys are obviously going to be a handful, like whatever it is. And I might just say, oh, this sounds like a fun group. And then you're in. No, like the likelihood that people are going to be like, excuse me, this is a private conversation. Then you actually get to say, well, why are you having it in front of everybody else then? Why don't you go off somewhere else? I mean, you don't have to say that, but you know what I mean? Like, you're not in the wrong. That's the point here. Like, if someone does give you that vibe of like, this is a private conversation, then they're doing it wrong. That's them doing it wrong. That's not you doing it wrong. They should take that conversation elsewhere if they don't want other people to join. So, take that for what it's worth. But if you can, just catch the eye of someone in that little group. Maybe it's just, you find yourself, I know I'm going into detail, but for me, I find the detail really helpful, because people can talk about theory all day long, but it's like, okay, but how do you actually do this? Because I'm awkward and I don't know, so I need the steps. So for me, it's like, okay, you're going to end up with a person on your left, a person on your right. Give one of them, try and establish eye contact with one of them. As soon as they've seen you, just, do you mind if I join in? Do you mind if I hop in? And that's it. It is as simple as that, because again, we all know why we're here. We all know that we're here to network. We're here to meet new people. And just then listen, if you've got something to chip in, then you can chip in. Don't feel like you have to, because you're in the group, you're in that little circle because you want to hear what's being said. So just continue with that. And then number 10, this is something you can do beforehand, is to research who's coming. This is a bit more sort of a stealth tactic, but I think there's a lot of use. I can't deploy this personally because I'm visually impaired, and so it doesn't work for me. But I think this will work for you, and I would highly recommend doing this because for me, I might do this based on voices, but I think this will work for you as well. If there's a public delegates list, a public list of who's coming, if it's an Eventbrite thing, usually that you've got the names there, Eventbrite meetup, places like that. Often the names of the people who are attending are listed there. So given that you're probably networking within a given space, within a given context, if you like, you can then start searching around, try and find who they are online. So look at some of these names and check them out on, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, maybe, and see if you can find them, see if they seem like the same person. Use your common sense, and weed out the ones that aren't that interesting necessarily, or the ones that you're not that fussed about making a connection with. Just find the ones that you think would be interesting, and then have a look at what they look like. Try and find a photo. And I mean, if you don't have a good memory for faces, maybe you could put a bunch of them on your phone, copy them into the Photos app. Maybe just be careful that people don't see you do that, because that might look a bit weird. But, and for me, what I might do is have a quick look, see if there's a video or a podcast or something so I can hear their voice. And you're only going to do this for a few people. Like, I'm not saying you do this for all the delegates, but maybe find 3, 4, maybe half a dozen. And then when you're at the event, when you're walking around, just clock, see if you've seen someone that you recognize, and then just go up to them and say, "Hey, are you James? Are you Sandra? Like, are you Joe?" Because people will be quite impressed. People like that. People then feel like they've got some preeminence, And if they're like, how did you know? You'll be like, well, I was just curious. And you could be super honest about this as well if you like. Go for the vulnerability thing and say, well, to be honest, one of the ways that I find it easier to survive networking is if I have a look at who's coming, and then I can find the interesting people and have a chat with them. Like, you're bundling in a bit of vulnerability and a bit of a compliment for them as well. So that's something you can practice, is find people that you think might be interesting, seek them out when the networking thing happens. Obviously, if it's a massive thing, that's a little bit harder. But, if it's a smaller industry type thing or whatever, or a little meetup, listen out for the voice or look for that face. Look for a distinctive, they always seem to dress like this. And then go up to them and say, hey, I mean, worst that happens is they say no, and you say, oh, sorry, I you look like someone I knew, and that's fine. And then maybe even you start having a conversation anyway. It's fine. Like, even if that's not the person, even if you've got them wrong, it's like, we're still now having a conversation, and that is so often the hard bit. Is like, how do you pull the starter motor on a conversation with a stranger? So those are my 10. A couple of got some bonuses for you here. Find a buddy. This is helpful as well. If you can bring someone with you, someone they can do a couple of things here. They can be a source of safety, but they can also challenge you. I've had both of these where I've brought someone along and they've been like, listen, I'm not going to let you leave here without making... I think the guy was like, you've got to speak to 10 people. It was something like that. He said, you've got to speak to 10 people. And just having him say that, and I could report back to him every now and again and be like, okay, I'm up to 5. And he'd be like, cool, we can have a moment. Now get back out there. That kind of thing is quite useful. But just having someone who can be a bolt hold, or someone you can bring with you as part of the conversation, they can be a bit of a buffer. Maybe they can do some of the stuff that feels a little bit awkward. I'm thinking here of the TV show I'm thinking here of the TV show How I Met Your Mother, and the whole "Have you met Jeff?" It's not Jeff, is it? It's "Have you met Ted?" And the whole "Have you met Ted?" thing. It's, look it up if you don't know what I mean. But having someone who can sort of ease you in can be quite helpful as well. And then some more quick ones. This is a great piece of advice that came from a Guardian article, which I've linked in the show notes. Be one of the first people there. I can attest to this as well, actually. This is really helpful. I tend to get to these kinds of things early, mostly because I just have a bit of travel anxiety, and I'm like, I want to make sure that I can find the right entrance and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm usually early, but use that, because then you're standing there while people are effectively coming to you. That's great, because it's so much easier than walking into a place that's already bustling and you're like, wow, how do I navigate this? This way, they're all coming to you and you get to then almost sort of have the pick, and they're more likely, because there's so few people there, to actually come and make a beeline for you and kind of, and have a conversation. So I think it's a great piece of advice. And then one high, and then bear in mind that one high quality connection is way better than loads of rubbish ones. So go for quality over quantity. Take, if you smoke, if you vape, take those kind of breaks, use them, take those moments to decompress. If you don't do either of those things, take a bathroom break. Make sure that even if you don't need the loo, take it as an opportunity to go and decompress. Take a few minutes of quiet, recenter yourself, listen to a podcast or a little bit of one, or whatever you need to do, freshen up, and then go back out there a little bit recharged. So take those regular breaks to do that. And then use your natural ability to be quiet and listen. The thing about being introverted is you draw information and inspiration in different ways, and you are much more likely, I think, to be on receive. So just use that. You don't have to force, I must go out and speak to people or at people. You actually don't. Just go out and listen. Keep your energy levels up. I'll say that again without mumbling. I'm starting to get a little bit croaky. Hang on. This is a long one, isn't it? This is proving to be a long one. I did think it might be a little bit longer. Oh, there's probably some anecdotal stuff I'll have to cut down. Keep your energy levels up. So if you're a caffeine drinker, I mean, don't go too overboard, but keep hydrated. Honestly, practical things like that. If you need an energy bar or something with you that's going to give you a little bit more of a boost than a small canapé, that kind of stuff helps a lot, because if you've got that higher energy, then you're less likely to just be like, oh, and yeah, sure, and you're much less likely to feel kind of despondent. I think if your energy levels are higher, you are going to be, again, more open, good posture, looking like you're enjoying yourself, looking like you belong there, and that you are someone people want to speak to. And then lastly, last point is just be kind to yourself. Being kind to yourself is better than having some sort of positive mental attitude. Positivity is overrated. Kindness is much more of where we want to go with this, because you've got to survive this. You've got to come away from this not hating yourself, not feeling like you trod in a puddle or accidentally misgendered someone's dog. Like, you want to make sure that you can come away with this and not feel too embarrassed. And so be kind to yourself and do the kind thing and take it easy. That would be my advice. So remember, being introverted is not a deficiency. It's a difference in approach. You're probably going to excel at other forms of making connections at that deeper connection level. So you've just got to break through this slight awkwardness, because then you will be really good at what happens beneath the surface, at making those closer bonds. As an introvert, you will probably be a lot better at that than the surface level stuff that other people find easier. Finding this stuff awkward is not a sign that you're bad at people. It's not a sign that you don't get people or you're not good at this stuff. And feeling out of place at a networking event does not mean that you don't belong in that space. So time for my extra shot. This is something that I think is cool, that I want to tell you about. Something completely different today. This is a weekly newsletter for fans of completed audio fiction. This is by my mate Evo Terra, and it's called The End. And it is weekly updates of completed audio fiction. These are whole series or seasons that you can binge straight away. So if you're not much of an audio fiction listener, this is time to get on board. And the great thing about the newsletter is, like, you're not going to enjoy one episode and then have to wait week on week for the next one. You can actually just binge it if you're that way inclined. So theend.fyi is the address. And there is, of course, a link in the show notes. And if you've got anything that you want to let me And a link is in the show notes. And of course, if there's anything that you want to let me know about to tell other Morning Creative listeners, then mark@morningcreative.fm is my email address. And so we move to the mailbag. And I hit the microphone there. That's fine. Beth says she's been really enjoying the podcast over the past few weeks. Thank you, Beth. I've been having lots of fun making it. And thank you to Simon for their support on my newsletter pivot that I talked about yesterday. I as ever, appreciate your support as well. So thank you. Keep those messages coming at Hello Stedman, pretty much everywhere on the socials. Next time, then, we are going to be talking about listening if you are an extrovert. So this has all been about how can you sort of put yourself out there as an extrovert, as an introvert. But what if you are more extroverted? And again, if you're an ambivert and it changes day by day, if you're feeling particularly extroverted, if you're feeling you're in your oats or whatever the phrase is, how can we use our listening skills to bring people closer and bring people into our network? So that's tomorrow. But for now, if you do just one thing today, book yourself at a networking opportunity. I'll say that again. Book yourself on a networking opportunity. Do a bit of research into the other delegates. Do a bit of research into the other delegates or the speakers as well, and set yourself a condition by which you are allowed to leave. It could be one conversation, or it could be an Instagram handle or a LinkedIn address, an email address. Set that metric and use it to say, once you've achieved that metric, then you can leave. Give yourself permission to leave once you've done that. Because I reckon even if you set that intention, you won't want to leave and you'll end up having a really good time. Cool, blimey. Cool. I mean, cool. That was a big one. That might be the longest yet. That was crikey. Let's see where we are. Thank you for bearing with. Yeah, gosh. Let's have a look at the running time for that. Oh, good grief. Are you kidding me? 40 minutes? 40 minutes? Goodness me. Okay. I mean, that's... we might have to split this in two. Gosh. That's going to be a job for me to do, is to figure out what to do with that. Because I have a promise that they're never longer than 20 minutes. So goodness me. Yeah, I think part 2 is going to have to beckon. All right, well, that was lots of fun. I enjoyed that. And hopefully, I mean this genuinely, I really hope there's some useful stuff in there that you might take away. Because, yeah, like, I want to move this stuff into the practical, because there's so much of this is theoretical, hypothetical, all the theticals. I want it to feel like, how do you actually do this stuff? How do you actually get this stuff on its feet? And hopefully I've got some stuff there, but even with editing, that's going to be too long. So it's going to be a 2-parter. Cool. Well, that gives me an extra episode out of the month. So yeah, I have to figure out what to do with that one. All right. Well, that's a problem for future me. I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to have some lunch and then take a quick breather and figure out what I'm going to do with that episode. So thank you very much for your time and your attention. I really appreciate it. And for hanging on for so long. I'll be back here tomorrow. I will, continue because, the live thing is the commitment. So I will be here tomorrow and we will do the whole networking for extroverts and see where that goes. Take very good care of yourself. And I will be here again from noon tomorrow. Morningcreative.fm is the place to go for all of the things. And yeah, take myself a breather. And